Welcome back to another 40 Facts about the 40k universe. I am your host, Gersh1, and today's episode we're going into Horus Heresy once again. This is part 3. We're going to be talking about the Site Massacre. Now, there's going to be something that I'm going to do a little different this time. Instead of saying fact number 1, fact number 2, fact number 3, I am going to omit that and just go straight into me saying facts, and then you're going to see a little number counter letting you know what fact number it is. I'm going to try it out. I read some comments, so I'm going to try this setup for a little bit and see if I like it. So with that said, let's go into 40 facts about the Horus Heresy. Conrad Kurz, the Night Haunter, was due to face disciplinary action from the Emperor, which he did not believe he deserved, and so he sided with Horus. The Alpha Legion Primarch, Alfarius, had always been closer to his brother Horus than to his father, the Emperor, although some evidence indicates that he and his twin brother, Omegans, turn to chaos was driven by a mistaken loyalty to the Emperor. The Iron Warriors Primarch, Perturabo's open and bitter rivalry with Rogoldorn of the Imperial Fist, and his feelings that he and his legion were handed the worst tasks of the Great Crusade, led him to side with Chaos. To secure Titan support, Horus swayed Magos Regulus of the Adeptus Mechanicus to his side, with the promise of the Standard Template Construct, a database of ancient technology recovered during the war with the Auratian Technocracy. Horus established contact with a demon called Sarkel, who acted as an emissary of the Chaos Gods. Horus was then deceived by the demon into believing that the Chaos Gods had no interest in dominating the material universe, and were only lending their support so that Horus could overthrow the Emperor. The remaining Space Marine legions, the Raven Guard, Salamanders, Iron Hands, and Space Wolves, remained loyal to the Emperor. The planet of Isstvan V was completely destroyed. Payloads of bombs seemingly spared nothing and no one anywhere in the world. After the betrayal of Isstvan III, Horus traveled to the planet of Isstvan V to make a defiant stance. 7 legions were sent to take out Horus and his traitor legion. Ringing Isstvan V was one of the largest fleets ever gathered in the history of the human species. Without a doubt, it was the most impressive coalition of Astartes vessels, with the scouts, cruisers, destroyers, and command ships of 7 entire legions. Amongst the 7 legions was the Alpha Legion, the Word Bearers, the Iron Warriors, and the Night Lords, all of which had already chosen to side with Horus and the Chaos Gods. Commanders from the Night Lords, Alpha Legion, and the Iron Warriors, along with 3 additional Primarchs, Night Haunter, Alfarius, and Perturabo, accompanied Lorgar on his flagship, the Fidelitas Lex. This is where they proclaimed War Master Horus the true Emperor, and they chanted death to the false Emperor, death, death, death. The meeting was to go over the plan. The plan was to allow the Loyalist Primarchs and their legions to make the first attack on the planet. Once the first wave engaged Horus in the drop site, known as the Ulgrun Depression, the 4 traitorous legions would reinforce the Loyalists only to betray them and attack from the rear. The first wave was under the overall command of the Primarch Ferrus Manus of the 10th Legion. The Salamanders, led by Vulcan, and the Raven Guard under the command of their Primarch Corax, joined him after. Vulcan's legion assaulted the left flank of the traitorous battle lines, while Ferrus Manus, the Iron Hand's first captain Gabriel Centaur, and 10 full companies of the elite Morlocks Terminators charged straight into the center of the enemy lines. Meanwhile, Corax's legion hit the right flank of the enemy's position. The odds were considered equal, 30,000 traitor marines against 40,000 loyalists. The forces on the surface had been embattled for almost 3 hours with no clear victor emerging. Overwhelmed with rage, the headstrong Horus Manus disregarded the counsel of his brother Corax and Vulcan, and hurled himself against the fleeing rebels, seeking to bring Fulgrim to personal combat. He was followed by his veteran troops, the majority of which came from the 10th Legion's Terminators and Dreadnoughts. The traitorous primarchs were battling hard. Angron of the World Eaters was swinging his chain blade left and right, barely cognizant of who fell before him. Fulgrim of the Emperor's Children laughed as he deflected the clumsy sweeps of Iron Hand warriors, never stopping in his graceful movements for even a moment. Mortarion of the Death Guard, in a disgusting echo of ancient Terran myth, harvested life with each reaving sweep of his scythe. The second wave of Loyalist Space Marines descended upon the landing zone on the north edge of the Urgal Depression. Hundreds of the Stormbirds and Thunderhawks roared towards the surface. The cheering roar sent by the Loyalists was loud enough to shake the air itself. The traitors, the bloodied and battered legions loyal to Horus, fell into a fighting withdrawal with hesitation. The secret traitor legions that landed as a reinforcement was larger than the first wave of attackers. And I interrupt this broadcast to let you know that yes, I've been reading the comments and some of you do not enjoy the interruptions of these broadcasts. So what I'm doing is I'm compromising because there are other viewers that enjoy me coming in here and saying, hey, I hope your painting is going well, because I seriously do hope that your painting is going well, or your modeling, or whatever it is that you're doing. So what I'm gonna start to do is do these every other episode, maybe, just so that we can find a nice compromise. So again, I hope your painting is going well, and let's go back to the 40 facts. The Word Bearers set up positions on one side of the Urgal Depression, while the Night Lords took position on the opposite side. Down the middle were the Iron Warriors. Both the Word Bearers and the Night Lords were to be the anvil, while the Iron Warriors would be the hammer yet to fall. Corax and Vulcan led their forces back to the drop site to regroup and to allow the warriors of the recently arrived second wave a measure of glory in defeating Horus. When the Loyalists were within 100 meters of their false allies, Horus revealed his lethal trap. Inside the Black Fortress where Horus had been hidden, a lone flare shot skyward, exploding in a hellish red glow that lit the battlefield below. The fire of betrayal roared from the barrels of 1,000 guns as the second wave of Astartes revealed where their true loyalties now lay. Hundreds of World Eaters, Sons of Horus, and Death Guard that were falling back quickly turned and fell upon the veteran companies of the Iron Hands. And though the warriors of the 10th Legion continued to fight gallantly, they were hopelessly outnumbered and would soon be hacked to pieces. The Iron Hands had damned themselves by remaining on the battlefield. Horus Manus, Primarch of the Iron Hands, confronted Fulgrim for the last time on the battlefield of Isstvan V. Horus Manus was decapitated by his brother and his demonically possessed blade. For more information on Horus Manus and his final battles, please check out our 40 facts about this Primarch. The Raven Guard were confronted by the treacherous Word Bearers, with their Primarch Lorgar, the first Captain Corferon, and the first Chaplain Erebus at their vanguard. The two legions fought one another in bitter combat. The Word Bearers unleashed the elite unit known as Gal Verbach, Astartes who had allowed themselves to be possessed by demons. Corax slew the masses of Gal Vorbak. Lorgar intervened and prevented the death of the few remaining elite units. The two opposing Primarchs then dueled one another in close combat, and the Raven Guard Primarch quickly gained the upper hand. Lorgar had never been more than a scholar. Lorgar was saved by the Night Lord's Primarch at the last moment. The Night Hunter and the Raven fought a brutal melee. Kurz quickly gained the upper hand over his battle-weary brother, and prepared to slay him, but Corax managed to escape death by taking to the skies with his master-crafted jump pack. Though they suffered an atrocious number of casualties, the Loyalists managed to hold their own until the Primarch Mortarion of the Death Guard and Angron of the World Eaters joined the fray. Bolstered by the support of the infamous Imperial-class Titan Dies Irae, the traitors killed tens of thousands of Loyalist Astartes. The Loyalist starships still orbiting the embattled planet were also largely annihilated by the vastly superior number of traitor fleets. Imperial history does not record the fate of the surviving Salamanders or their missing Primarch Vulcan. The Raven Guard's Primarch just barely managed to board a fleeing Thunderhawk gunship, but was then shot down almost immediately by a gunfire of the Traitor Legion. The badly damaged ship crashed on the outskirts of the Orgal Plateau. Corax had survived the crash and quickly ordered the remaining warriors of his legion to regroup. The Raven Guard took to the highlands of the surrounding hills and hid in the shadows from their relentless pursuers. During their flight, their position was nearly discovered by a roving armored column of traitorous Iron Warriors, but they were destroyed in a Raven Guard ambush and wiped out before they could return the report. Corax ordered his warriors to dig in and hold position at Lurgan Ridge, while he undertook a lone reconnaissance of their original drop site to determine their position. They had received no word from either the surviving Iron Hands or Salamander's Legion. After 98 days of relentless pursuit, the Raven Guard survivors were finally backed into a literal corner, caught under the wide-swept mountainside, with the rage-driven Astartes Legion of Angron pounding up a sloping mountainside, while their tanks and guns provided covering fire. Before they could utterly eradicate the surviving Raven Guard Astartes, the World Eaters were attacked from an unexpected quarter. Broad-winged aircraft plunged down from the scattering of clouds, missile pods rippling with fire. Corax looked on with joy as blistering pulses of plasma descended from orbit, cutting great gouges into Angron's legion. Black dropships emblazed with the badge of the Raven Guard descended from the sky. These dropships were part of a desperate rescue mission that had been devised by the Commander Brain, a Raven Guard captain who had been left in charge of the Legion's homeworld of Deliverance. Without further delay, the Raven Guard survivors quickly prepared to embark and escape aboard the dropships, breaking for orbit and leaving behind the frothing berserkers of the World Eaters, their angry Primarch screaming for blood. After the killing had stopped and the dead were gathered into great funeral pyres across the broken desert of the Orgal Depression, the once gray skies of the planet burned orange with the reflected glow of thousands of pyres. Thousands of Astartes loyal to Horus gathered before a great reviewing stand constructed by the priest of the Dark Mechanicus. Atop this pedestal of flame was another platform, occupied by the senior officers of the Sons of Horus. Above the senior officers, the traitor Primarchs, 7 beings of monumental power, stood on their tier of the reviewing platform, their armor still stained with the blood of their foes. Finally, the uppermost tier of the reviewing stand was a tall cylinder of crimson that stood 100 meters above the Primarchs. Horus stood on top of it, his clawed gauntlet raised in salute. A furred coat of some great beast hung from his shoulder, and the light of the corpse pyres reflected from the amber eye upon his breastplate. An Eye of Horus symbol was burned into the northern slope of the Orgal Depression to mark the traitorous victory of Isstvan V. And that was 40 facts about the Horus Heresy. Again, this was part 3. Just to let you know, it's a 10-part series. I'm finally finished it. The scripts are written out, and it's a complete 10 episodes. So this is just part 3. Part 4 through 10 is yet to come, so please subscribe to the channel or just click on the link. They might already be up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe for more awesome Warhammer 40k content. We're doing individual lore episodes, so stay tuned for that. And again, thank you so much for watching. I hope your painting is going awesome. I'll see you in the next episode. This was Gershwin with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.